Here's a question.
Hmm?
Do you think that anyone has written fanfic about Balatro?
About Jimbo specifically? Absolutely. I'm sure they have.
Yeah, anything about Balatro.
If Tumblr had the user base that it used to, Jimbo would absolutely become a Tumblr sexy man. I have no doubt.
I'm Emmi.
I'm Annie.
And this week, we're playing Balatro.
Or Balatro, depending on what makes you happy.
Throughout this episode, I am going to slowly morph into a pronunciation that is completely unrecognizable to anyone.
I think I'm going to be able to stick with Balatro. I've literally been practicing this week.
Emmi, before we get into talking about Balatro, can I introduce you to some news that happened this week?
Yes, please introduce me to some news.
So, this first bit of news I wanted to highlight is actually something I already sent you. I don't know if you ended up looking into it, though. But this is just a local Chicago shout-out that I'm excited about. A Chicago-based podcast called Anime Sickos made a short, fun, free game that you can play on itch, which I will link in our show notes. And it is called Time Cops X Mission of Lenin. It's a game. It's a game in which you try to save John Lennon. Oh, sorry, not Time Cops X. Time Force X. It's a game in which you make narrative choices to try to save John Lennon from getting shot. In most of the 20 or so endings, you don't. And the endings are pretty difficult to get because they're based on a sort of esoteric set of constraints. And Tom Harrison, who's one of the hosts of Anime Sickos who wrote it, he said, "One could argue that locking certain endings behind such Byzantine secret requirements is bad design. I would counter that it's actually very funny." which I agree with. And so this quote is actually from an article highlighting the game in Polygon, which I thought was really cool for a free small game made by other Chicago podcast creators. So I played a bit of it, but I haven't played it fully and definitely haven't gotten all of the esoteric endings. Emmi, did you happen to check it out when I sent you the link?
No, I didn't have a chance to. I know Anime Sickos. I didn't realize that they're in Chicago, so that's a fun coincidence. If there's one opinion from this podcast that we can both agree on, it's that Chicago rocks.
Chicago rocks.
No, I have not had the opportunity to play it, but I'm glad that you've been able to play a little bit of it. I think that it sounds very silly and fun.
Mm-hmm. And the art is also by Tom McHenry, another Chicago-based media person, but not part of the usual Anime Sickos team.
But not an Anime Sicko.
But not an Anime Sicko themselves. Well, I don't know. We would have to ask them if they identify as an Anime Sicko. I sure do. So I just wanted to highlight that bit of gaming news out of my current city. And then we can get to, well, it's all real gaming news. But for more official gaming news, Emmi, did you watch the Nintendo Direct this week?
I did not. I used to be in a state where I was like, I don't know, huffing the news whenever there would be a Nintendo Direct of like, let me eat up the Nintendo Direct. I'm so excited. And now I don't even know when one happens. I did not see the Nintendo Direct, so please educate me about the contents.
I am mostly just going to highlight one bit of it that I thought was the most interesting and game-changing, one could say, aspect of the Direct. Though they did, if you want to go look it up later, they did show stuff from Metroid Prime 4, and it looks really cool. So, you know that I am a physical media obsessive. I try to buy all of my games as physical when I can because I like the option of lending things to friends.
Yes.
Part of the news that Nintendo announced that actually will be out starting, it will be available on the Switch and then in the future on the Switch too, starting this month, so April, is they have changed a digital game to something called a virtual game card. And you're going to be able to lend the virtual game cards that you own to other members of your Nintendo Online family if you have that. Which is kind of huge to me. It's like a rare W for digital rights management, which is normally very anti-consumer. So for example, like I'm in a Nintendo Online family with some of my college friends and my sister. So if I buy a game online, like digitally, and I want my sister to be able to play it, I don't have to wait until I'm hanging out with her for her to try it on my Switch. I can lend it to her digitally and she can lend it back. I think that's really cool. My only worry is that this spells something negative for the idea of backwards compatibility on the Switch 2 with Switch cartridges. Kind of worried. But I'll wait and see if that worry is founded or not.
Oh, I see. Like, you think one of the reasons they're introducing this is maybe because the Switch 1 cartridges won't be compatible with Switch 2.
Yeah, I'm very afraid of that. And then that will render them not obsolete entirely, but the whole idea of being able to lend them to friends will be more difficult going forward. And I was also kind of hoping when the Switch 2 came out to maybe give my Switch 1 to a friend, but I am going to hold on that until I know more, because I would also just love to hoard my technology till the end of time.
Okay, so I did actually see this. I just didn't read much beyond headlines about this new virtual lending program. I think it's kind of a bummer that it's locked to Nintendo Family, but I understand why they would need to do that. This is kind of reminds me of NFTs. This type of thing is one of the only use cases I could see making any sense for NFTs to actually be useful. And I don't think it has to be done in the way that NFTs are done. It's just sort of the ideas behind NFT of like digital ownership. And being able to like prove digital ownership, and then also being able to make transactions from one owner to another of a digital item is like not something you can really do right now with games, but something like that does like actually identify you as the owner and being able to transfer ownership of something digitally is something that we don't have a lot of support for right now. And I think it has more to do with policy and like copyright law and digital rights than it actually does with the technological solution, but it's sort of interesting to see a proprietary take on that need.
I'm excited to test it out, to push at the boundaries of it, but also just borrow some digital games for once.
Is there room in your Nintendo Family, or would you have to kick someone out to have me in it?
I mean, I could always kick someone out. Time to rank everyone. Abbey Lee Dance Company pyramid style.
I think we probably have games that each other would like to play.
I'll see what I can do. I'll get back to you about the rankings of my various not children and see if we can make space.
Can you belong to, if you're already part of a Nintendo Family, can you belong to another one? Probably not, right?
I actually don't know. More to test.
You could become part of my family. Change your name to my last name.
Perfect. Can I use your health insurance too?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Shout out unions.
Can I be your dependent? That would be nice. Okay. So that is it for the news.
So we are talking about Balatro, which, in case you don't know about it already, it is the smash indie hit game of last year, continuing into now. It is a poker-based roguelike deck-building game in which you use a variety of powered-up Joker and base deck cards to defeat the scores of blinds, which are bets imposed by the dealer, which graduate in difficulty until the final ante. So an entire game of Balatro is called a run. Each run is made of baseline 8 antes, and then each ante has 3 rounds. Within each round, that's when you have to play hands of cards with a high enough score to eventually beat the blind. In each ante, for each round of that ante, there is a small blind, a big blind, and then a boss blind. So they graduate in intensity, and the boss blind has usually some kind of debilitating power that either takes out a certain suit, it can disable some of your power-ups. Either way, like that's what you have to defeat to move to the next ante. Each round you have the chance to earn some money, and then you use that money in the shop to buy power-ups in the form of the aforementioned Joker cards, as well as others. For example, there are tarot cards that can do things like add special powers to your base deck, which would then make them like add or multiply points or get you more money or anything. There are also planet cards that can level up the worth of the types of hands that you can play. And then there are spectral cards that have a number of different, more wild powers, though usually with those there's some trade-off to using them. As you beat runs, you unlock more decks to try, which give you different starting conditions, higher difficulties, and more Joker cards and other cards to switch up future runs. Basically, the goal is to create a combination of Joker cards, other power-ups, and deck cards so broken that the score for each hand goes up and up and up each round, because each blind is going to get higher and more difficult to beat as you go. The game started as a demo on Steam in 2023, and then the game blew up after publisher PlayStack DM'd the one-man anonymous developer Local Thunk, and it has since been a smash hit. It was nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and it won the awards for Best Indie Game, Best Mobile Game, and Best Indie Debut. It started as one of a few side projects that Local Thunk was working on for fun, separate from his day job in IT. And according to an interview he gave to Rolling Stone in November, he didn't see the true potential in the idea until one of his friends that he'd sent the link to told him he'd sunk 30 hours into it himself. And this is coming from, he said, yeah, I always send my little side projects to my friends, and a lot of the time they never click the link. This time, a lot of them clicked the link and apparently never left the tab. So he is also super supportive of fellow indie developers and has spoken out saying, while he's super grateful for the success of his own game, please go play and buy others that came out this year, and referenced a bunch, including Animal Well, which has been on our list as well. I particularly liked this part of his Rolling Stone interview, which I'll quote, where he talks about the difficulty of working in the gaming industry as both a AAA or indie developer, either way. He also notes that while the trials and failures of AAA game development are certainly more publicized, it's still happening frequently in the indie space. Local Thunk said, "The people who are asked about this are people like me. Like you're asking a lottery winner if you should buy a lottery ticket. Indie developers are still struggling. A lot of them have to go back to work because they can't make enough money to sustain themselves. It's still a tricky industry to get into on the low end." So he notes that while the game itself, or at least I think the game itself, is a really great game on its mechanics and deserving of his success, he is also basically a lottery winner in this space, in that he was really lucky that it blew up the way it did. And a lot of other good games out there don't blow up this way. So nice to acknowledge that. And the last thing I will say for this intro is that the name Balatro actually comes from the Roman word for gestures, as we talked about Balatro. And we already talked about what is the right or not way to say it. The answer is anyway. Whatever makes you happy. It's named that because of the Joker cards, and specifically the mascot of the game, which is the only character, I would say, that appears in Balatro. There's no story. That character is Jimbo. He's the base Joker. He also appears as one of the cards. He's the one who gives you the tutorial, and then he also appears at the end of a run, either to make fun of you for losing, there's some pun, and you start to hate his face, or to congratulate you for winning. In which case you're like, yeah, I did win, Jimbo. Thank you for finally acknowledging it.
Yeah, I think there's something interesting just for the meta of our podcast, the lore of our podcast, which is this is the first time we're talking about a game that has I don't even want to say very little story, no story, really.
Yeah, no narrative.
No story components. Yeah, narrative is a better way to put that. So I'm sort of interested to see how this goes, this conversation. I'm mostly talking about the mechanics of it, because I think we often have talked in other episodes more about the sort of narrative and how gameplay fulfills or doesn't fulfill those kind of narrative themes. So I'm excited to talk about this, sort of digging into the mechanics and our experience with those mechanics.
Right. It's pure mechanics, pure strategy, and in another way, also pure aesthetic. It is very pleasing to experience because the card art is cool. I thought that each little bit of animation that there is, whether it's dealing cards or counting cards or Jokers activating, the sound effects for the same, even the vibrate effects on my Switch, because I played it on Switch. Does it have vibrate effects on mobile?
It does. That was something that I wrote down. So, well, first of all, worth noting that we played this on different platforms. And so at one point, I want to come back to what our experiences were, if there were sort of differences in our experiences of those platforms, because usually I would play something like this on my Switch, but actually it was really helpful to have on my phone. But one of the things that I did write down in my notes is the vibration feedback of when things are dealt, or when all the effects are going off and comboing is really satisfying.
It
feels
so
really
satisfying
good
with the sound effects. So what I was going to say, that loop. If we're talking about the Halo developers' idea that the key to good game design is a like 3-second loop of something that makes a gamer want to do that again, Balatro has it, because it is so satisfying to get a high score and watch the number go up and have the like little fire. There are two number counters, the score and then a multiplier, each of which can go up depending on how you play your hand. And as number go up, if it goes up enough, fast enough, then it looks like little fire. And so you feel like you're on fire. Wow. And yeah, the combo of all of those things in the design makes you want to do that again.
Yeah, I think it goes, at first I was like, I wonder what the threshold is for it being on fire. I think it's when a single hand exceeds the requirement for the blind.
Yes.
Is when it triggers.
So, Emmy, you were playing on mobile, right? Does that mean you were also playing, on the bus to class?
Yes. So that was like primarily my experience with it, was playing it on the bus to class, laying in my bed, trying to get out of bed. I will not say it was not a great choice for me to be like, lay here in bed and being like, I'm just gonna like take a little bit before I get up for the day. Like, don't pick Balatro for doing that, because it's just gonna lead to you staying in bed. So yeah, it was sort of interesting for me because we haven't talked about anything that, like any mobile gaming really, because that's generally not what we're that interested in doing. Like, I sort of have my steadfast, like, some bullshit merge game that's like, it has an ad every 2 seconds and like makes your brain feel like it's melting and is the worst. I always have like one of those on rotation that I'm more or less obsessed with, and then I'm always playing Hearthstone Battlegrounds with my partner, and those are my two, like, and then like New York Times crosswords and stuff, and that's kind of that's it for my mobile gaming generally. So it was interesting to sort of experience something on mobile that you were playing on Switch, because I think if I had been playing it on Switch, I would have like sat down and focused on it more often, and instead it was often like between things, and I would try to get through a run. It would maybe be like, okay, I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna play, try to do a run, and then if I was noticing it was taking a little too long, which I usually didn't because it's very engaging, I would say, okay, I'll come back to it later. But I do think that like that leads to a pretty different experience of our playing it, just those circumstances. Yeah, I will say Annie texted me and it really made me laugh. She was like, I think I'm bad at this game. I've only beaten like the first 4 decks. And I was like, what do you mean beaten? Like, gotten through all the antes? And she's like, yes. And I was like, I haven't done that for 1. Oh, no. And listener, I still have not done it for 1. And I think it's because I don't have the patience to think about arithmetic. I'm like, okay, so it's, based on the poker hands, and so they have increasing point values, and then also the individual cards within the hand have increasing values like you would normally expect in a playing card deck. And I will mostly just rely on like knowing that they're increasing value of hands, but then you have complications to that, like there's celestial cards where you can improve the level of a hand, or you have your jokers that combo with certain suits or certain types of hands, etc. And while I like generally have that in my mind, it's never enough for me to really pinpoint that like, oh, this isn't going to be enough for this like level that I have to score. I just like am unwilling to think about it much harder than intuition. And so I think that's maybe you just have a better intuition than I do.
I don't know if I have a better intuition, but I do think I was paying more attention to crafting a type of hand that would win me the game all the time. The caveat there is that sometimes the type of hand, like let's say you put a lot into leveling up flushes, and if you play a flush, you pretty much guaranteed will win that blind. The boss blinds can do things like, say, you can only play one hand this entire round. If it's a flush and you can get a flush and then you're able to get a flush again, you'll be okay. or one type of hand. Sometimes it says you can't repeat types of hands. And if you were going all in on one type of hand, well, then you're going to be screwed and that run will be over. So that was what was getting me through a lot of the times with those caveats of the boss blinds. What I am now encountering at harder levels of difficulty that I'm realizing I need to take into account is I'm not willing to gauge the probability of getting the cards I need, because as you go, you can discard cards and then draw more. I'm not paying attention to which ones I'm throwing out. I'm just throwing out, let's say, lower level or all the hearts that I don't need. But I keep forgetting to look at my deck and check what's left. Because sometimes I sit there going, I'm just waiting to draw another 10. No, I threw that out already, or I used it already. I'm not getting another 10. Why do I think that's going to happen for me? And then I end up screwing myself over. That's where I am less good about probability. I should be paying attention to the probabilities more. However, I will say, like, as an English major, I'm doing just fine. So it's you don't need literally a degree in statistics to play this game. It just helps a little bit.
Yeah, and it's fun even if you're not winning, like me.
Oh, good.
It's still
because
fun.
it's something that just like it draws you in, and number go up, and number go up feels good. It's a number go up game.
Well, and I think one of the things that's really magical about this game is that when a run, I think like this is the key to a really good roguelite, is that when a run ends, you're excited to start a new run and see what you can build versus being like frustrated and mad that you didn't win this thing. And there's a little bit of it, but then it's like, I'm actually really excited because I sort of settled on this build that was going really well for me, but I'm really interested to think about like, how would that go differently? And I've only just, like, as of today, literally started using the seed, because there have been times when I'm like, well, I was really between these two jokers and I wonder what would have happened if I went with the other one, and so I used the seeded round to like go play through that again.
What's the seeded round? Because that's a gameplay thing I've literally not touched at all. What does that mean?
Oh yeah, oh that's interesting.
No, I just never clicked it. I was like, I don't care about that, I'm gonna start over.
It gives you a seed and you can plug in that seed and you can get the same randomization choices.
So it basically lets
if
you
you
go
want to play
back
another
in time
run with it. Yes.
You can Groundhog Day that run.
Yep.
Yeah, I literally haven't done that at all. When I did see that, I wondered if that was to, I don't know, copy the run, but yes. I genuinely I ignored. So that option shows up when you finish a run, whether you win or lose. There's like a seed option. You can click that.
Yeah, you can copy what the seed is and then put it in.
Huh.
So, which also actually is interesting because you...
Does that mean I can copy a seed from my game and give you the seed?
Yes,
and then you can play
that's what I was just thinking about. That should work, which I think is cool because you can see who does better and you could talk about what you did.
So, okay, we've talked a bit about how I got pretty far into it. I've unlocked 80% of the games and the items or the items in the game according to my accounting here. So I did want to talk specifically about when you've been playing. Are there any jokers that when you see them pop up, you're like, that's my boy, I'm so excited, and you keep that in your rotation?
Yes. I think is it the Celestial Joker, the one that gives you an increased multiplier for how many Celestial cards you use that run. I love the Celestial cards because it feels straightforward to me instead of like the Arcana cards feel... So the Celestial cards can level up the hand, which gives you an improved base score for the hand. And then the Arcana cards can change like individual cards within the deck. Or sometimes they have other effects. But generally it's like adding a multiplier to one card, adding additional like score to another card, turning cards into each other. I mostly use the Arcana cards to like try to get to like as close to one suit as I can. But anything that is like has a multiplier that you can build over time, I tend to go for.
Right. Anything that you can square like is really great as well. The more you can multiply multipliers is how the numbers get so big. I also I made a list. It's called Constellation. That was Constellation. That's also on my favorite. It's also a pretty card. I want to say, like, this has like the whole game is really enticingly designed. It's very colorful. All of the cards have interesting pixel style art on them. There's some that are like definitely my favorite. It also has, I don't know how much you can change this on mobile, but it also has like a CRT style television warping to the screen,
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool. And I actually checked in the accessibility settings because I was going to turn off the music and listen to something else, but I still wanted the other sound effects. And you can actually turn off or lower, it's on a scale, turn off the CRT effect if it's making you feel weird to look at.
It's interesting that you bring up settings because something that was really irking me about this game for a while until I went and looked in the settings because I was turning off the sound and wanted to keep the sound effects maybe.
Yeah.
Is there is an option to switch the order of the discard and the play buttons. Did you run into this as an issue? Where
No.
you were accidentally discard. So the default setting is that the play button is on the left and the discard button is on the right. And generally, the rule is that if you are in a left to right language, which is what English is, versus like Hebrew and Arabic are right to left languages. But so if you're in a left to right language, you generally have the action button on the right and like the cancel button on the left. And so multiple times I accidentally discarded a really good hand that I was going to play, and it made me scream.
Oh no.
And so I was really happy that that was a setting because it was driving me bananas.
That's actually a really good thing for accessibility and comfort. Also, just depending on which hand is your dominant hand and if you're playing on the phone one-handed.
Yeah.
Like at some point, like whatever's closest to your dominant thumb. I didn't change that around. On the Switch, it's buttons. It's like the X and Y buttons instead of something that you touch on the screen. Although, it's still touch compatible on the Switch. So if I was feeling lazy, I could swipe it around on the Switch screen. I did still, though, accidentally discard hands that I didn't mean to discard when I wasn't paying attention. I did really love that there was an option also, this is pretty standard for games, but that there was an option to turn off the music but not the sound effects, because the sound effects are great. I think my only criticism of this game in general, I know we're on a tangent, we'll get back to Jokers, but my only criticism is the music, and that is because there's one song. There's one song, and I played it for so many hours that song is now imprinted into my brainwaves. But what I wanted, I think I want one more song. I want one more song that plays when you're getting to the final ante. Kind of like how in Tetris 99, the Tetris theme goes away and a riff on Flight of the Bumblebee starts when you enter the final 10 players of a Tetris 99 game.
That sounds stressful.
It's awesome. It makes you feel like you're really achieving something. And it is stressful.
We've talked about this before. Like, I often will play a game and listen to a podcast at the same time. And this is a great podcast game. So I feel bad saying this. I don't know that I ever had. I don't know that I even know what the music sounds like because I don't think I ever turned it. Because my phone is always like, I'm terrified of my phone accidentally making noise in public. So my phone is always like, has all the sound turned all the way off.
Oh, yet another mobile game tragedy. It's okay. It really makes you zone out into kind of, I don't know why this phrase comes to mind, a 70s waiting room. I wasn't alive in the 70s. I don't spend a lot of time in waiting rooms. However, so then, after all that, what was your go-to strategy as you were playing lately?
I think just today I sort of stumbled on this strategy that you were describing, focusing on leveling up one hand and adjusting my deck such that I could get that hand more often. So a lot of times it'll be like, I don't know why, but it feels like hearts should be my main suit. And then like a flush felt pretty good. So using Arcana cards to like turn things into heart cards and getting the like Joker that gives you more points for heart cards, etc. That, of course, you get screwed if you get a later boss blind that disables the heart cards and you can't score off of them. That was how one of my runs came to an end. But that's getting me further. Yeah, and then now incorporating skipping blinds and being like, oh, wow, I get a reward for doing this. It doesn't cost me to do this. It's also making it sort of more enjoyable because you spend less time just sort of doing the same thing over and over again and more time like getting to the bigger numbers. So what was your general strategy? How can I learn from you to become better at this game?
Let me teach you my ways.
Teach me your ways.
So a few of my favorite cards have included, so there's a Joker, I forget the name of this one, but there's a couple of jokers that can make straights and flushes easier to make, and I've enjoyed
the
throwing them in
four-finger
there.
one.
Yeah, there's the four-finger one.
That's one I always get.
Yeah, four-finger allows you to make a straight or a flush with only 4 cards. Then there's one called shortcut that allows you to skip numbers in a straight. So, for example, you could do 10, 8, 6, 4, and that would still count as a straight. There's also another card that's called the smeared joker, and
that one's good too.
That one combines 2 suits into one, essentially. Like, all the red suits count as the same thing, and all the black suits count as the same thing. If you have a combo of those together, and then you level up the flushes and straight flushes, you go nuts. And then if you have one of the cards, if you have 2, this is where you can really start shaking things up. If you have a joker that gives you plus points, like to the base points for clubs or spades when you have the smear, and then you have a joker that, for example, ups your multiplier, like plus multiplier for the red ones, and you have a combo of some sort of things for a straight, then basically you're trying to make the same hand do multiple things at once, and that combo can go really crazy. Then if you have a multiplier card, like, let's say, for example, the baseball card that gives you 1.5 times multiplier for every other uncommon joker that you've got, then you're cooking. So that was something that I was doing for a while. The dangers in that sort of build come to when you enter boss blinds that, like, eggs out 1 suit, in which case that actually takes out 2 suits at once when you have the smeared joker. So that's something to worry about, but that was really nice. Or I've also really enjoyed using, like, multiplier cards similar to the Constellation one we were talking about, where it takes into account all of the power-ups that you've used throughout the run so far, and it adds to the times multiplier that it'll do. So there's one called Throwback that I really like. That one lately has been useful because it gives you a better multiplier for how many blinds you've skipped. So especially as you get to higher levels, you're going to be doing blinds anyway, so Throwback is there to help you. And there is another one that gives you better multipliers depending on how many steel cards are in your deck. So if you're using a lot of tarot cards to make steel cards, which will also give you a multiplier, that one can snowball really fast, because the more steel cards you have in your deck, the more likely it's going to be that you're going to be using, first off, the multiplier joker, but then also the steel cards will start cascading, multiplying as well when you keep them in your hand. If you just want to create, like, incentives that go together, if that makes sense, like jokers that have synergy, and then number go up.
I was going to say, it feels really good when you find 2 jokers that have synergy, that create a wombo combo, is great. The problem is that when, like, you know that you've done that before and you're not necessarily going to get the other one this time, and so do I pick that? Hope it, like, this joker that's maybe not that good on its own but is great with other cards. Like, one is it's like the happy face joker that gives you +5 molt for each face card, and then there's one that treats every card as a face card, and then there's also one that scores every card in a hand.
Oh, Splash.
Yes, the Splash joker. So, like, those are great, but then you might not want to go for the +5 molt for face cards if you have the other option, if you're not going to get that everything is a face card. It's that balance, and I think I have the same problem I have with a lot of things, is, like, of operating in uncertainty. But the enjoyment of, like, getting through the run, and then what happens when the run ends, you just start a new run, makes it not feel unbearable to operate in the uncertainty.
I forgot another joker that's really good. It's called Blueprint. Do you have this one unlocked yet?
I feel like I remember it unlocking, but I don't think I've seen it.
The Blueprint joker copies the ability of the joker to its right. So if you have a really high multiplier card that you've worked really hard on, like a high Constellation card, and then you get Blueprint and you put that next to Constellation, suddenly instead of ×3 multiplier, it's actually ×9.
Yeah. But I love, I love the wombo combo feeling. That's something that like I love in a game.
Yeah.
Of, like everything's just working together really well, and it feels really good how many different options for that there are. Like it just like I think shows the sort of light but ever present touch of the designer throughout the entire game, right? That like these things do work so well together, but there's so many different, it's not like there's only one way to do this. There's like a bunch of different ways. And so that shows a real kind of, I don't know, just thoughtfulness, I think, in terms of the design for this. That is like that other games that need to be balanced in that way require like hundreds of people like designing and playtesting these different options so that nothing is overpowered. I don't mean to like do this like sole developer on a pedestal thing, but I do just think it's really, really well done.
I was just going to agree and say that it does feel like there is just quite a personal, idiosyncratic touch to the names specifically of the Joker cards. Maybe, again, like, we're not trying to do solo developer on a pedestal by any means. A lot of this probably could have come from suggestions of friends who were early playtesters for Local Thunk, but I really enjoyed specifically the names of the Joker cards because they are many times cheeky references to what the power of it is, and the art will nod to it as well. Can I tell you about my favorite Jokers?
Yes.
The ones that, not to play with, but specifically the funny ones. The loyalty card. Are you familiar with this one?
Maybe.
The loyalty card gives you a ×3 multiplier every 6 hands. And it looks like a card. Yeah, that one, the design of it is so fun to me because it's one of the ones that doesn't have a different, like, differently designed Joker face on it. It looks like a loyalty card like you'd get at a cafe or something. Like every 10 orders, they punch it and then you get a free coffee. That one's so cute. Pareidolia is one of the cards. Were you familiar with this word before playing this game? Because I was not.
Oh, something about the intonation of how you pronounced it made it sound like two separate French words. And so, but referring to it as one word, I did see this, but I don't remember what it was.
So the Wikipedia definition for this is the tendency for perception to impose a meaningful interpretation on a nebulous stimulus, usually visual, so that one detects an object, pattern, or meaning where there is none. So, for example, when you see a face in a tree trunk or a Virgin Mary in the burn pattern on a piece of toast.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yes, so this card makes every card count as a face card.
Oh, yes, really one of my favorite cards. Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Another one that's very funny, the Gros Michel. That one has a banana on the card. Are you familiar with what the Gros Michel banana is?
Is that like the banana that was taped to a wall?
No. It's funnier than that. I think you're actually probably familiar with this, even if you don't know the name of the varietal, but it was the, not original, but it was the most exported, like, produced banana.
Oh, is this the banana where banana flavor comes from?
Yes, it's the old banana, the old most popular banana, and then a fungus killed most of it, and so it's not the most popular cultivar anymore. That's the Cavendish banana, but the Gros Michel banana. And so the reason that one is named that is because the power of that card is that it'll give you a good multiplier while you still have it, but it has a 1 in 6 chance of self-destructing every hand you use it. So it will go away eventually. You just don't know when. So goodbye to the Gros Michel banana. Egg?
I love egg. I have used the egg card because it works really nicely with the Joker that gives you a multiplier according to the sell value of the Jokers in your hand.
True. So the egg...
I don't understand how I haven't beat this game yet, because apparently my strategies are just fine.
I was going to say, you understand the synergies. Maybe it has to do with paying attention to the probabilities of the deck as well. I don't know. But for egg...
I don't want to do that.
That's okay. I don't really want to either. The egg gains value every round. So it's a nest egg. It's got a picture of an egg on it. And if you get it early on, it's really useful to keep around for a while until you can cash out. And then you suddenly have like a nice nest egg to spend. I have a couple more that I really enjoy. The mail-in rebate. That one looks like a little envelope with an address on it.
It's cute.
Yeah, the way that one works is that is it a random suit or a random type of card? One or the other will end up being, it'll give you a certain amount of money if you discard it during that hand, and then it changes. I looked up the address on it because it actually has a specific address in New York, and I was like, no way, Local Thunk put his own address. He didn't.
It's his home address.
No. I was looking at it thinking there's no
so
way.
Funny.
It's not anyone's home address. It's the address of Seinfeld's apartment on Seinfeld.
Oh, that rocks. That's fun.
And then my final other favorite is the Hanging Chad. Not only is that one actually kind of killer, but that is like it looks like a voting card with a hanging Chad, which is either a reference to the How I Met Your Mother hanging Chad gag or the reference to what the hanging Chad gag in How I Met Your Mother was referencing, which is the Bush v. Gore election.
I was gonna say, ultimately, it's the Bush v. Gore administration. You just have something, a middleman in that case.
Yeah.
So I will say, I don't think I was really familiar with, like, because we weren't that old during
we were children.
Bush v. Gore. We were little kids.
Then.
Yeah, and so hanging Chad had not really entered our, at least for me, my cultural knowledge until that reference on How I Met Your Mother, which is
I think that's how I
a
learned
mediocre
about it
show.
As well.
I'm gonna come out and say that.
In some ways, I think it holds up, but it ended so terribly that kind of destroys a lot of the goodwill that the rest of the jokes may have built up over time.
It's no Naruto, I'll say that.
You've got such a great point. The last question I have for you, Emmy, is have you happened upon any of the legendary Jokers yet?
Yes, as of today, I have. Because I got... It's one of the Celestial cards or the Arcana cards. Maybe it's a Spectral card. It's a Spectral card, which gives you a legendary Joker. And so I got the one that disables all boss abilities.
That's the one I got too.
Yeah, I really thought that was going to take me all the way through, and it did not.
Oh, yeah, I also lost my run.
I can't get past, I think 80,000 is where I keep getting stuck. I think it's I'll find a good strategy and then I'll be rest on my laurels a little bit too much, and then it doesn't become exponential in the way that it needs to be. Yeah, no,
you can't rest. You gotta make number go up more. I bring up the legendary Jokers because, well, first off, you have I looked it up, you have a very, very low chance of pulling the soul, it's called the soul card, and then there are 5 legendary Jokers in the game, and it'll pull one of them. I don't know if it does it in a particular order, but it's funny that we both got him. His name is Chico. The reason I brought up the legendary cards is I also pulled up Chico. That was my first legendary Joker, and I have not gotten any of the others yet. But I saw Chico, and I was like, and he comes from a soul card? I wonder. And so I looked up Chico. Chico was a real-life Joker, was a real-life jester in the court of King Henry III of France in the 1500s. And he has his own little Wikipedia page. You can go read about him. But then I was like, oh man, does that mean all of the other legendary Jokers are true legends? They were real ones
that
from
would be cool.
History or whatever? And they are. So I don't want to spoil who the rest of the others are. I think that we should come to them naturally. But I thought that was a really cool, nice touch, and I was sitting there yes, the souls of these past jesters are coming to help me, yet another jester, win this game.
Here's a question. Do you think that anyone has written fanfic about Balatro?
About Jimbo specifically? Absolutely. I'm sure they have.
Yeah, anything about Balatro.
If Tumblr had the user base that it used to, Jimbo would absolutely become a Tumblr sexy man. I have no doubt.
Yeah, that tracks. He would be played by Timothée Chalamet in the movie adaptation.
Speaking of, I was going to run a smash or pass on all the Jokers this round, but I feel we've talked a lot about the Joker designs already, so it doesn't feel totally necessary. But I think, Emmy, you can draw your own conclusions on which ones I would smash based on this discussion.
Smash and pass might still be fun. I want to play smash and pass. Smash or pass.
Smash and pass is where you fuck them and send them home immediately after. But let's see. Okay, well, I will share my screen. We don't need to do every one of them, but I wanted to scroll through some of the types. All right. Most important, the very first Joker, Jimbo himself. It's the baseline jester. He's got clown makeup on, red lips, hat with dangly bells. Smash or pass, Emmy?
And importantly, +4 multiplier.
+4 multiplier.
Is a fact.
Yeah, we should be taking their powers into account.
I think pass. I just don't feel that passionate about him.
I'm surprised because he is the tutorial giver for this game, and you're telling me that you don't want to smash a teacher figure?
Yes, because I am a teacher, and I think that's inappropriate.
I forgot. Okay, never mind. Then I'll pass too. That's what I was gonna say. A lot of
on
the
record,
Jokers...
I do not think that's appropriate.
That's true. I know. Okay, so a lot of the Jokers are very similar in looks to the original Jimbo, but with hat variations or color variations. So I'm scrolling past some of those into some of the more
I want to talk about
interesting...
Lusty Joker.
Lusty Joker, right. I forgot. That's
obviously Smash.
Guys.
I'm like really leaning into the mic right now. I don't know why. I'm like, Smash.
Smash or pass ASMR. That might be a little too much. But yeah, I understand. Because, I mean, he's lusty already. And he levels up the hearts cards, which are your favorite.
Yeah.
I understand. Pass for me just because he's an unnecessary to me variation on the OG. There are a bunch of Jokers that have the style of jester hat with 2 prongs instead of the traditional 3 with bells. I don't like the 2 prong. I would not smash any of the ones with 2 prong hats.
I'm a pass on the ones that give you chips but not multipliers.
Oh, Emmy, that might be your problem. You gotta have both. 4 fingers. Smash or pass. This one is just an image of a hand with 4 fingers on it, and it makes all flushes and straights able to happen with just 4 cards.
Smash.
I am also at Smash. I think that this 4 fingers card is probably pretty skilled, and also it's useful in Balatro runs.
It only needs 4 fingers.
It only needs 4. Alright, the mime. It re-triggers all card held in hands abilities. So it can get you extra money, it can get you extra multipliers if you have steel cards. If you have a card that has a blue seal on it, when it generates a planet card at the end of the round, it would generate 2 planet cards. And it looks like a mime.
I'm a pass for this one, again, because the held in hand cards are challenging for me because I don't have the restraint necessary to hold them in my hand.
Smash for me. Even though it's a freaking mime, I would smash this mime because that ability is so useful.
Yeah, I think we're like primarily making our decisions based on whether or not we like the ability, and I think we should pay more attention to their superficial appearance.
In that case, I have one for you. Ceremonial Dagger, smash or pass.
Smash.
That's
Smash.
I saw this
Smash.
card. Emmi. This is Emmy's card. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like first of all, it's kind of like the Madness Joker, but a little bit more controlled, which I like. So I like its skill, and I also like its vibe. I think it's cool. I think it looks sick. I think it gives anime vibes, but like a cool, mature anime.
It's a dagger with like swirls of green magic around it. It looks maybe a little poison. Who knows? It's very cool. And the power is that when the blind is selected, it destroys the Joker to the right and then permanently adds double its cell value to the multiplier. It adds up over time. It's very cool and a little murdery. And I knew you'd say Smash. I'm also Smash, but not as enthusiastically as Emmi. I'm gonna scroll down. Raised Fist. It adds double the rank of the lowest ranked card held in hand to the multiplier, and it is an image of a fist raised in, the stereotypical solidarity way. It's also red.
This is loaded with a lot of meaning in multiple ways, and so I'm choosing to use my right to not incriminate myself.
Meanwhile, I would like to incriminate myself in every possible way that this implies. Smash. Okay, Fibonacci. This one is non-traditional. There's no human-looking aspect to it in any way. It is an image of the Fibonacci spiral over some areas of the ratio. The effect is that it gives +8 multiplier to every played ace, 2, 3, 5, or 8.
This is a pass for me because, again, I don't have mathematical intuition, and therefore it is hard for me to remember what numbers this applies to.
Absolute smash for me. Not only is the Fibonacci sequence sexy, the power is also very sexy to me. It's been useful.
I do like the look of it. I would I would smash. I just am not interested in a long-term relationship.
Smash and pass then. All right. Let's see.
Ooh, what about Scary Face?
Oh, Scary Face. So Scary Face played face cards give plus 30 chips when scored. I think we've talked about this one before because Emmy said it was good synergy for other things you liked. I would say pass though, because the image on it, which is a kind of scary looking face, like with like black shadowy background with a red light coming out of the darkness, it reminds me too much of Bunnicula, if you're familiar.
Oh, interesting. I would say pass. I'm sorry, smash. Just to say that again, to get it for the record. Smash on Scary Face. I thought you were going to say it reminds you of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
That's also true. Is that why you're saying smash?
No. I just like it. I think I like the color distribution on it. I don't know. I can't explain how I feel.
I accept this about you. I'm skipping the Gros Michel. We all know what the answer is there. Constellation. We already talked about this.
I love Constellation. I love the look of it. I love the power. I want to marry it.
Meanwhile, right next to Constellation is Hiker. So Hiker looks like a hiker. Got a baseball cap on, is carrying stuff like a backpack. And every card played permanently gains plus 5 chips when scored. I have used this one to win. I like the power. But I will say for me, pass. This hiker looks kind of sinister.
He's a little sinister. The sinisterness makes me like him a little bit more. I think I like a little bit of danger. However, I'm also a pass because I spent a lot of time in Colorado on various dating apps, and I've seen too many hikers for me to ever be interested in smashing a hiker.
Yeah. Oh, wow. See, I don't even have that background, and I look at this hiker and go, this looks like the kind of guy I would meet on the trail, and then he would suggest walking together for a while, and then I would get serial killed.
Yeah.
Something about his eyes.
Just a dude who's like, hey, I've never considered being a woman for a single second in my life. Would you like to go on a first date on a hike? No. I don't want to be sweaty. I don't want to be out of breath during our first date, and I don't want to be murdered in the woods.
Yeah, all very valid points, and I'm sorry.
A hike is like a 12th date activity.
Truly. Truly. Whoa! Okay, I have not unlocked all of the Jokers. Didn't know this was available. There's a Gros Michel in there. We talked about him already. There's a Cavendish! Eventually. Wow. Oh my god. Wait, okay, this is where the humor comes in. It becomes available. It only appears in the shop when the Gros Michel in that run has destroyed itself. That's
great.
So good. That's so good.
That's so fun.
Oh, man. The Card Sharp. This is a Joker in a hoodie with sunglasses on. ×3 multiplier if the played poker hand has already been played this round. I think as useful as this card is, on the basis of the look alone and also just the Card Sharp ideal in general, pass. Looks like a smug bastard.
Yeah, a strong pass from me as well, with the same caveat of it's got a great effect. But again, the 19-year-old tech intern talking to me at a party, being like, I can't believe you don't know the poker hands. Do you want me to teach you sometime? This is his hero. He's not this, but this is his hero.
This is like who Mark Zuckerberg wanted to be in the earlier days of Facebook, and now he's pivoted to Retavern style street e-boy looks, which aren't good either. All right, the Madness Joker. We've talked about him. This is a Joker that when the small blind or big blind is selected, it gains 0.5 multiplier and then destroys another random Joker, and it has wild Medusa-y red hair on a sinister red background and a very large blue ruff. I would smash. Not a long-term thing, but,
I would pass if it was a man, and I would smash if it was a non-binary person or a woman.
Valid. There's a vampire one. We already know I'm smash.
Yeah,
Smash. That's no question. Smash. Hologram. I just think this one looks so cool. And the power
looks
is really
so
good.
Cool.
This Joker gains 0.25 multiplier every time a playing card is added to your deck. he's just gorgeous. What can I say? He's animated kind of. He looks like a CRT arcade cabinet animation with a little bit of distortion going. Gorgeous. Smash. Also smash.
Yes, also smash.
All right, this one. Baseball card. It's a Joker where he's drawn to look like it's a baseball card. It's also signed, it seems, by Jim Joker. It's Jim Joker, the baseball card. Uncommon Jokers get 1.5 multiplier each. I talked about him as a favorite of mine in the games. He's a rare Joker. Smash or pass?
Pass. I think baseball is boring. I think people who play baseball generally chew too much gum and are annoying.
You know, I'd still smash. I feel like baseball players are the less desired in general of the athletes of Americana, and so I have a better chance anyway with one of them.
I don't think that's true. I think that there's millions of people out there that are like super into baseball players, and that's why they have such big egos.
Are you telling me I don't have a chance with a famous baseball player ever? Not even maybe Jim
No,
Joker?
I think you do, but I don't. First of all, I don't think you need to go to a lesser desired sport to sleep with a professional athlete. I think you can sleep with any professional athlete that you want.
Thank you, Emmy. That's so sweet.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't think that they are actually less. I think it's just like a different population from us.
There's one other throwback Joker. Throwback looks like it's at a fun 80s sleepover party. Like it's got a sleeping mask on and the color scheme says like one of those radical cups, you know? And the power is 0.25 multiplier for each blind skipped this run. For me, I would, overall in general, smash, you know? But also, this Joker's got a sleeping mask on. They're about to take a nap. I'm not going to interrupt that. So, like, it is time. Respectfully pass. However, later, here's my number if you would like to hang out.
Interesting. I'm sort of ambivalent, so I'm going to say pass. As my therapist told me when I was dating, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
That's so true. That's useful. All right. There's one more I wanted to look at. Oh, yes. Our very own legendary Joker, Chico. Smash or pass? He actually looks a little bit older in that this man has wrinkles. He is looking to the sky, and he has a more... Medieval is not correct because he's from the 1500s, but it's a more medieval-ish looking jester look, and he's red.
I think pass, but I would be interested in being his, like, companion on a journey of self-discovery.
I'd still smash. I'm not that deep about it, but it would be more of a, like, I picture us meeting at the court of Henry III, and he's like in his waning years, but still kept around out of respect for the joy he used to bring.
Oh, so like kind of like a silver fox.
Yeah, and I recognize him, and I'm like, wait, you're the Chico I've heard about? And he's like, oh, so people remember me. And
he's like a little older and a little sad. It's giving, but Dr. I am Pagliacci. Is it Pagliacci?
I am the great clown Pagliacci, exactly. And in case anyone was wondering, for Pagliacci, smash as well. But that's a different game. So
I can fix him.
That's how I picture it going with me and Chico, and then I leave the court of Henry III eventually, and we part mournfully, but having changed each other's lives in some meaningful way. Smash.
Would you write this book for me?
I'll think about it.
Send me some of your Balatro fanfic. Anyone who has written Balatro fanfic, we want to hear from you.
Actually, that's 100% true. If anyone who is listening out there who has either written or has a favorite Balatro fanfic that they have found, please send our way. I will read it and have a great time.
That seems like as great a place as any to wrap up.
Honestly, it really does. I don't know, overall, I love Balatro. I will be continuing to play it. I will complete it to the best of my ability, and I will have a grand time doing so. Yeah.
I think it will be a go-to phone game for me. I probably will not play it as intensely as I have been. I also still have, like, it's at war with another one of my relaxation games right now, which is, of course, still Infinity Nikki. Okay, do you want to talk about upcoming games?
I do want to talk about upcoming games. Tell me what you've got.
Okay, we are recording on March 30th, so one that is out today, March 30th, is The Chef's Shift, which is very hard to enunciate, but an appropriate name because it is a restaurant management sim that is also a typing game. And I feel like there's been like a recent boom is a little bit, it's not really a boom, but like there have been more typing games that I've been seeing recently, and maybe that's just because I'm more aware of them. But like I just know that I loved the typing game that I learned to type with in elementary school computer lab. And I also love restaurant management sims, and I've been really hungry for them recently. So I am definitely going to check out The Chef's Shift. I will probably play it after we finish recording. April 7th, Peppered, an existential platformer, is released. And that is a story-driven platformer. It seems like it's sort of toying with the idea of choices and the choices you make matter. In the description, it says something like, choices you make matter, or maybe they don't. Play around and see. So I think the look of it is cool. It looks like there's a lot within it of like, there's platforming, but maybe also sort of like mini games. So I'm interested to check that out. I haven't played a platformer in a little while.
I was going to say, I'm just excited to look at that one too, particularly because the style is really cool. But when you first told me about it and that the name was Peppered, I thought it might be yet another cooking game, just because you've been on such a kick lately. It's not. The name has nothing to do with the mechanics, so far as I can tell.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Tiny Garden, Annie?
Yes, I would. I saw this one highlighted, I think it was either during the Steam Next Fest or just something that Polygon posted. But this one is a garden simulator set in a basically Polly Pocket sized capsule. And I think it's so adorable, especially because I really loved those little Polly Pocket plastic capsules that had tiny figures and little settings inside when I was a kid. Also, this has a crank on the side in the 3D simulator, and I was sitting there thinking, like, when is it coming to the Playdate then? Clearly, it's got the crank. When's the port? I don't think that's going to happen, though. But it looks quite small and cute, and it's coming out on April 8th. And that's something that I'll probably download just to play around with a little bit.
It reminds me of a toy, because it literally looks like a toy, but it feels very much like a game that is a toy, you know, to sort of open up, play around with a little bit, but you're not sinking your teeth into it, which I think is something that's nice to have in the mix. I also appreciate that you said capsule, because all I could think to describe it was an orb.
It's also an orb. An orb capsule.
I wonder if there'll be a puzzle aspect to Tiny Garden, too, just because it is such a constrained space. So maybe you sort of have to be smart about how you're planting things. I don't know. I'm interested to see how, like, the form and the mechanics fit together. So that comes out April 8th. And then last one I wanted to talk about is Maliki, Poison of the Past. That comes out April 22nd and is an action-adventure RPG. So it's turn-based fights, and they describe them as temporal puzzles, fighting against a plant creature that has colonized space-time. And it seems like there's a lot of interesting characters and maybe narrative going on, and I just think it looks like it could be a really satisfying RPG, if that's what you're looking for. All right, I think that's it for upcoming games.
Wonderful.
On that note, Emmy, it's been great talking to you about a game this week.
Yes.
Do it again soon.
Thanks everyone for listening. Bye.